you hear about these lodge meetings, you see all these guys going to these buildings. There's a big one in Covent Garden, not far from where we are here now at TalkRadio Towers, and it all seems very, very mysterious, and you hear rumours of weird rituals, and sort of magistrates belong to it, and cops and businessmen, and you know, it's a secretive organisation, or it is shrouded in secrecy. But apparently there's something of a membership problem. You know, that membership is down, and there's a new broom in charge, as it were, who, in my view, quite rightly has said, well, what is the point of all this secrecy? If we want to get people to join, they have to know what it's all about. So I think he's single-handedly trying to lift it out of a world of secrecy, shine the bright light of transparency upon it, and hopefully get more people joining and more people interesting. But we have to know what it does. What do they do? What's the point of it? Let's talk to the man responsible for this new way of thinking. He's the chief executive of the United Grand Lodge of England. The initials seem to say ugly for short, or UGLE. Let's give him a... that's the governing body of Freemasonry in England, Wales, the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands. He's a physician, Dr. David Staples. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks very much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. So let's try and clear up some of these mysteries. First of all, how long has Freemasonry been around?
Well, organised Freemasonry has been going for at least 3 centuries, and the United Grand Lodge of England and its predecessor was formed in 1717. But there's anecdotal stories going back much, much, much further than that, dating from the times that operative Masons would wander around Europe building the great cathedrals and castles that we see today. And it's really from them that we take our lead. We're about building better people, about building a better society, about doing things which you should be excited about, you should be enthused about. Except instead of building buildings, we're building those tangible things. But most importantly, we're building ourselves to be better people.
So, but it's about sort of helping each other, isn't it? Exactly what is it for? If I join the Masons, what do I get out of it?
Well, there's 3 main things that you get. Firstly, there's a self-improvement element. Secondly, there's a charitable element. And thirdly, there's friendship. And all of this is done in the context of an organisation which has been going for centuries. So if I talk about the self-improvement aspect, it's an active achievement. We take people from all different backgrounds, and we always have. So we have captains of industry, but we also have road sweepers and cleaners, all races, all religions. And we've done that from a time long before that sort of thing was socially acceptable. Our history dates from a time when the Catholics were fighting the Protestants, the Huguenots, the Hanoverians, a huge melting pot of conflict. And out of that conflict came an organisation which celebrated those things which bring people together, common humanity. And we've got some fantastic examples of things that we've done over our 300-year history. But most importantly, we give people real, tangible skills. You may have somebody who goes into a lodge meeting who's never done any public speaking, who's never chaired a meeting, who's got no experience of those sorts of aspects of life. And yet, as they go through our ritual, our ceremonies, they are built up. They're built up by friendships that they make with other people. They're built up in self-confidence. They gain these sorts of intangible skills, and they come out at the other end a changed person. Charity. Last year, we raised £51.5 million for charity. We donate 18.5 million hours each year in social and civic public service. You will be involved in charity. You will do things that introduce you to people, places, experiences that you've never had before. But most importantly, we get together and we have a huge amount of fun, and we will meet and keep friends for a whole lifetime.
When you have a lodge meeting, are there these initiation ceremonies I've heard about for new members? What do you do at your meetings?
So there are 3 ceremonies that we do, and each one of those ceremonies takes the form of a little play. and the members play parts within it. And it teaches three basic principles. The first degree, when we bring somebody into Freemasonry, teaches us that everybody is born equal, but some people do significantly better than others. And it reminds us that it's the job of those people who've done well in life to look after those who've not done so well. And that's where the principle of charity comes from. The second degree is all about the importance of improving yourself, making yourself a better person, thinking about what you do and the effect it has on others. And the third degree really is about mortality, realizing that you have one life, you're only here once, use it well, be remembered for the right reasons. And those three principles have changed society and changed an awful lot over our 300-year history.
We've got to the point I've got to ask you now about the handshake. You're trying to, I think, make the organisation at least seem less secretive. Are you going to tell people what the handshake is?
So the handshake is a token of recognition. Its history dates back from those medieval stonemasons I was telling you about, the majority of whom were illiterate. And as they were travelling around the building sites, they had to demonstrate their level of skill. And so a stonemason in the Middle Ages would have had a secret handshake or a secret way of showing their overseers how skilled they were, so that they get paid the right amount and they be put on the right job. So that handshake translates across into our ceremonies as a way of telling somebody whether they're a first degree, second degree or third degree Mason. But, I'm a consultant physician. Was a consultant since 2010. I was a doctor since 2001. I have shaken tens of thousands of hands over my professional career. I have never been given a Masonic handshake outside of a lodge meeting.
Yeah, I assume to precurse the handshake, because we always assume that, Masons somehow or other kind of acknowledge each other in this secretive way. You'd have to kind of do something else before the handshake to signal that you might be a Mason. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, what you're saying is that doesn't happen.
I think there's an awful lot of nonsense that's spoken about this, and one of my jobs as CEO is to go out and bust some of these myths. There are all sorts of things which have been said about us on the basis that for 2 or 3 decades we didn't say anything at all about ourselves. Yeah. And that was a big mistake, because the narrative was taken up by people who knew very little about Freemasonry, and we never responded to them.